A client of mine is coming out $723,797 ahead simply because he's implementing a mortgage strategy. It changes nothing about what he's already doing. It's just making him more efficient in what he's already doing to maximize his benefits. And I want to show you how that works. So let's first look at the results. As you can see, he has 22 years left on his regular mortgage. We'll change to just this for now. This is his regular mortgage. Currently, it's at $751,000, and over 22 years, it'll get paid down to zero, and he'll own his house. That's fantastic. If he implements a strategy, we want to convert that debt from a non-deductible debt, like it currently is, to a tax-deductible debt. So that's what this is what that's going to look like. The blue line represents his non-deductible debt. That's his current mortgage, and the dark blue or black line represents his new tax-deductible investment loan that we've converted his mortgage into, and it only takes us about 8 years. So that means that his current debt level, his total debt level, is always going to stay consistent, $603,600. Now, when you do this strategy, you're going to be able to access a lot more money to invest and build compound growth on. And here's what that's going to look like for this particular client. We'll call him Brian. This is what it's going to look like for Brian. Over the 22 years it would take to normally pay off his mortgage, Brian's going to accumulate $1.76 million worth of investment portfolio. Now, he's still going to have some debt at that time, about $603,000. So once you subtract that, he's coming out $1.15 million ahead in his net worth, which is phenomenal. Using the strategy, Brian's going to come out about $724,000 ahead compared to what he was going to do previously. You can see the value of the Smith Maneuver strategy versus the value of his current plan. It's about $1 million of his current plan, so it brings it down to a $700,000 difference, which is an enormous return on basically doing nothing but using your money more efficiently. Your actions and your current setup are all the same, just routing your money differently to make it tax efficient. So let's look at Brian's setup to see what got him here. First of all, Brian had a mortgage on a property that's just over $1 million in value. We can see that right here. And he had a $573,000 balance on that mortgage. He had a liability, a $30,000 car loan that he wanted to roll into his debt. So we did that. $603,600 ended up being his total mortgage amount. And you'll remember that from the debt amount in the results page. Now, when you're going to do a strategy, you have to have a re-advancing mortgage, which means every time he pays down his mortgage, he's going to gain room in his home equity line of credit, and that's reflected here. Another important part is Brian has a rental property. So he has a rental property that's valued at about $400,000 with a mortgage balance of $233,000. The really important part about this is his cash flow. He's cash flow positive by about $581 every month on average. And because you're cash flow positive, that means you get to both pay down your mortgage using the strategy, your owner-occupied mortgage, and have more money left over to invest with tax-deductible funds. So it's a really incredible accelerator. Speaking of accelerators, let's look at the ones that we chose for Brian, and I'll explain each one to you. So the plain Jane accelerator means that every time Brian makes a regular mortgage payment on his owner-occupied house, the amount that the principal goes down will become available in the HELOC that he has access to, and he's going to take that amount and invest it in the investments of his choice, some sort of ETF that produces a dividend. We assumed for this section that he's going to get an 8% return, which is pretty conservative. The S&P 500 does 10.5%. Assuming 8% is fairly safe on average. So that's how the plain Jane works. He's also doing the cash flow dam rental accelerator. That's because he has a rental property. With this accelerator, he's going to take the entire amount of rent. We'll just go down and look at that. He's going to take the entire amount of rent he receives, which is $3,167 a month, and apply it directly to his owner-occupied mortgage. Then he's going to take all the expenses that he needs out of the HELOC. So the $3,100 brings the mortgage down and increases the room in the HELOC. He's going to take that $3,167 from the HELOC. He's going to pay his mortgage on his rental property. He's going to pay any other expenses like strata fee expenses, any repairs, things like that that are planned, and use that money to pay all of that. The difference is now he's using money that has changed his bad debt into good debt all of a sudden, and he's crushing his owner-occupied mortgage down super fast. After he's done that, on average, Brian's going to have $581.20 in remaining funds after all the expenses have been paid on the rental property. He's going to take that money and invest it as well. So he's really building up a portfolio very quickly. The final accelerator that we're going to take advantage of for Brian is called the cash flow diversion. In this accelerator, Brian's going to take an extra $600 a month. That's money from his income that he wasn't previously investing. He's going to take $600 a month, put it as a prepayment on the mortgage, and then pull it out through the HELOC and invest it as well. So you can see how there's multiple things contributing to his investment portfolio and the decreasing of his regular mortgage. With all this combined, we can see how fast his mortgage goes down to zero by 8 years. His HELOC increases to the same amount that his mortgage is already currently by year 8. His total debt will always remain exactly the same, $603,600, not one penny over. What his debt load is right now is where it stays. We're just using it more effectively. Then with all these different accelerators contributing to his investment portfolio, it grows and grows and grows and grows and compounds, and you get tax refunds on the interest that you pay on the HELOC. You get tax refunds, you're gonna do the same process with that. And by the end of it, he's coming out with a $1.75 million portfolio. He's changed nothing. He's put all the variables in himself to see what he's comfortable with and what he can expect to do. And he's coming out $723,000 ahead than where he would have been without the strategy. The Smith Maneuver is so incredibly effective. Every Canadian homeowner should know about it. If you want to learn about the Smith Maneuver, I offer a free course. Go to jeffhamilton.ca/free-course. I'll put the link in the description. Make sure you check it out, learn about it, and make sure you're being tax efficient, because you could change nothing and end up way ahead.